All right, guys, in Unit 11, we're going to talk about some exponent rules, and we'll also work with scientific notation that I talked about. In science class, has to do with exponents as well. Way back in Unit 1, we talked about the basics of exponents, kind of what the different parts were with power and things like that. So now we're just taking a little bit more advanced look. So the first property that we're going to talk about is the product of powers property. A product means multiplication. So I copied this out of the book. It says that the property says to multiply powers to the same base, add their exponents. So just a reminder, if I have 5 to the 4th, we're going to say that 5 is the base and 4 is the exponent. The whole thing is called power. So the base is 5, the exponent is 4. I can also do this with variables. So say I had x to the 3rd, x would be my base, 3 would be my exponent. So the product of powers property says that if I have the same base, I can add the exponents together. So let's look at a couple of examples of these. So it says find the product, write your answer using exponents. So please make sure you pay attention to those directions. We are not actually multiplying this all the way out to get our base unit answer. So if you look, we have 5 to the 10th times 5 to the 11th. So they have the same base, so I have to check that first. So I have 5, and then since they have the same base, and I'm multiplying, I can add the exponents, 10 plus 11. So I get 5 to the 21st. Looking at the next example, I have 8 to the 12th times 8 to the 14th times 8 to the 3rd. So they all have the same base of 8, so I can add all three exponents together, 12 plus 14 plus 3. And that will give me 8 to the 29. Now, the last example was a little bit trickier because I have decimals, but those decimals don't change what we're doing. We have 0.5 to the 3rd times 0.5 to the 2nd, so we still have the same base of 0.5. So I can add the exponents, 3 plus 2. So I get 0.5 to the 6. So that is the basics for the product of powers property. Now, if you look, we only work with numbers there. If you look at the next section, we're going to look at using some variables here. So it says to simplify, I have x to the 2nd times x to the 6th. So I have a common base of x. I can add the exponent, so I'll get x to the 8th. For number 2, we have 3h to the 5th times 4h to the 6th. It's important to remember that the exponent goes with whatever's directly in front of it. So if I have 3h to the 5th only goes with the h. Just like the 6th here only goes with the h. So what I'm going to do is multiply 3 and 4 together. That's the first thing I need to think about. So I have 3 times 4, I multiply like normal, and I have my common base of h, and I can add those exponents, 5 plus 6. So when I simplify this, I'll get 12h to the 11th. Those exponents do not apply to the 3 in this way. For number 3, I have 9w to the 3rd times 2w times w squared. So again, I'm going to start by multiplying the coefficients, which in this case are 9, 2, and 1, but I don't have to write the 1. And I have times w, and I can add my exponents. So 3 plus 1 plus 2. So I multiply, I'll get 18w to the 6th. That's my simplified version. So that was the product of power property. Product means multiplication, so we added the exponents together. Now we're going to do the quotient of power property. Quotient means division, so now instead of adding the exponent, we're going to subtract the exponent. So again, I just copied this out of the book. It says to divide powers with the same base, subtract the exponent of the denominator from the exponent of the numerator. So we're always going to do the exponent on top minus the exponent on the bottom. And again, they have to have the same base for this to work. So let's look at some examples with numbers to start with. So I have 7 to the 20th divided by 7 to the 14th. Same base, so I can subtract the exponents. That would give me 7 to the 6th. Number 2, 16 to the 8th divided by 16 to the 5th. Same base, so I can subtract the exponents. I get 16 to the Number 3, I have 0.6 to the 13th divided by 0.6 to the 4th. So same base, subtract the exponent. So we'll get 0.6 to the 9. And we'll simplify that. If you look at the backside, we're going to use the quotient of powers property and incorporate variables for this one. The first thing you need to remember is that the exponent goes with whatever is directly in front of it and only with what's directly in front of it. So we have 9y to the 18th divided by 15y to the second. The 18th only goes with the y, the 2 only goes with the y, not with the 9 and the 15. So the first thing we're going to want to do is simplify the coefficient part. So I have 9 over 15, which I can just reduce to 3 over 5 when I divide those both by 2. Now I can worry about the exponent part. So I have y to the 18th and divided by y to the second. So I'm going to do y to the 18th minus 2. That's going to give me positive 16, so that's going to stay on the top. Alright, looking at number 2, I have x to the 15th divided by x to the 9th. Same base of x, so I can subtract, and I'll get x to the 6, and I'm all good there. If you look at the next section, it says using both properties of powers, so multiplication and division. Remember that when you have a fraction, you have to follow order of operations within that. So for number 1, we need to multiply what's on the top first before we worry about the bottom. So I'm going to do 6 times 7, and then I'll have h, and I can add those exponents together. And then all of that will be over 28 h to the 3rd. So when I do 6 times 7, I get 42, so that'll be 42 h to the 17th divided by 28 h to the 3rd. Now I'm on my quotient property, so I need to simplify 42 over 28 first, which will reduce to 3 over 2. Then I have h to the 17 minus 3. I have 3h to the 14th over 2 as my final answer. 17 minus 3 is 14, positive, stuff on the top. We'll get into negatives in part 2. Number 2, same thing. I need to multiply on the top first. So I have 12 times 1 technically, so 12y, and then I can add these exponents together over 16y to the 5th. So that'll give me 12y to the 10th over 16y to the 5th. I simplify the 12 over 16, and it gives me 3 over 4. And then I have y to the 10 minus 5. So I'll have 3y to the 5th on the top over 4. That's my final. At the bottom, there's 4 practice problems that I want you to do on your own. Make sure you grade those on the answer sheet. Let me know if you have any questions.